Hello everybody and welcome to my video, Getting Tidier. I hope you're all well and I hope you've had a lovely few days between Christmas and New Year. So thank you for those of you that have just joined us. It's lovely to see that we've got some new people joining us from various different countries around the world. Some more different counties in the United Kingdom and also someone from Sweden. So welcome to everybody. If you've not already shared with us where you're from, please do let us know. We love to know where people are from in all different places around the world. So this video is largely me sorting, clearing up and really getting the house back to how it was after guests. Now, back right when I started this journey, what was a common pattern for me was that people would come round, we'd have a lovely evening, they would leave, I wouldn't clear up afterwards, the following morning would come and go and I wouldn't have cleared up, and there would regularly be things left around my kitchen from the time that they'd been round. Quite commonly with washing up, or I'd leave things on the dinner table, sometimes for several weeks. But of course, that's all changed. I was very keen the following morning to get cleared up and get sorted out and kind of put my house back to where it was before people came round. So you'll see me doing some work in the kitchen. You'll see me sorting out the dining room and getting back to how the dining room was. So clearing up, putting things away. There's lots and lots of washing up to do, and I know many people as a result of this will say, get a dishwasher. But the problem is I have no space currently for a dishwasher. Also, you'll see sort of different things that need to be put away just back into the cupboards, and then I sweep and clear up right towards the end of the video. And then we went on the trip that I mentioned to you that we needed to do. So you'll see a couple of clips and I've put them right at the end. So over the last few days, I have been thinking quite a lot about what do I want to do for next year? What do I want to do in my house? How do I kind of want to progress my journey and move things on? I do feel like I've made some improvements. I'm not certain whether I've particularly got a lot more tidier, but I'm definitely much more aware of where I put things, how I put things away, trying to keep on top of things. I do lots more housework than what I ever did before, which has big impacts when people come round. Rather than feeling like I've got to do this massive great tidy up and clean, actually it didn't really take very long for the house to be ready for people to be invited. So I do think that I've made a number of improvements throughout the year, but I kept thinking, what do I want for next year? So for next year, I definitely want to look more into the Fly Lady. I know a number of you said that I wasn't quite ready for that yet, but I think there may be some principles that I could implement. Also, I'm going to have a couple of targets for each room. So I'm going to write down what I want to achieve in each room for 2025. And I really like this idea that someone said to me from Jamie Chaotic, I think it's called. They mentioned about this other YouTuber, so I had a little look, and she had this goldfish bowl and she put these different ideas. She actually did it for the whole month of December. But I thought what I could do is, you all know that I spend a lot of time. Monday's my main housework day. So I spend a lot of time on Monday, and I thought each Monday I could take a couple of ideas from my bowl and focus on those on that Monday. So I'll do my general sort of tidying and sorting and clearing, as well as 2 ideas that I pick from the bowl. What do you all think? Is that a good idea? I still think I need for my whole house to get rid of a lot more things. So I do agree with you all on that. There's a lot more I still feel like I can get rid of. But I have got rid of so much already. But I still think I can get rid of a lot more. I think I can do more work on the kitchen. So you'll remember a few months back, the kitchen was all really tidy for about 2 weeks. And then I started to get that build up on the left hand side. I need to change that. I need to stop putting things down. I was chatting on the chat. Brooke posted a message on one of my videos, and I replied to say how I regularly lose things in the house. So I put my phone down and can't find it. I put my purse down and can't find it. But the keys have got a set location. I come in the front door and put the keys in the little pot that sits on that corner table. I'd say 99% of the time, that's where the keys go. And me and my husband both do that. So we never have this ridiculous thing, where are the keys, where are the keys? So I need to do that and follow the same principle of that with lots of other things. And then I would know, like how you've all said to me, that everyone, everywhere, every item has got a home. Every item's got a place. And if you're not sure where to put it, think about where you'd look for it. I think that's very, very wise. I'm looking back at this video and thinking, oh my goodness, I just wouldn't have done this in the past. So all these items, like the day after we've had people round, where I'm putting things back in the cupboard and putting things back in the fridge and putting things in the bin, I just would have never done that before. And I know you're all probably thinking, well, why? I just never have. And when I've been married for more than 20 years, and when that's always the pattern that you followed, that's kind of always what you do, isn't it? It's only when you suddenly think, actually, I want to change this. And the other reason why I was able to get so much washing done the day after Boxing Day was because my husband had done loads of washing up and he'd done loads of wiping up. So I didn't have to spend time putting all the wiping up away because the draining rack was completely clear. So I just literally did loads and loads and loads of washing up. Quite a lot of the things weren't that dirty either, because they'd got like crisps in or like snacks in. They weren't things that were particularly dirty or greasy, so they were very, very quick to wash up as well. So after this, we actually got probably just after lunchtime, around about lunchtime, we had our lunch in the car and we made our way up to Durham. Like I told you that we might be going up to Durham. And that's what we've ended up doing. So we went up to Durham. We stayed in the place that we always stay. And there's a little clip of the beautiful countryside around the area where we stay. We stayed there for one night. And then we drove some of the way back to spend some time in York. Now, I've been to York a few times. The last time my daughter went to York, she wasn't quite walking. She was about August, September, October, November. She was about 15, 16 months, and she didn't walk until she was 18 and a half months. And I can remember the place that we stayed. She could stand up and hold on to the table and hold on to chairs and kind of coast, but she wasn't walking at that point. So of course she doesn't remember any of it. So my husband booked us tickets to go to the Jorvik Centre, which was all done out in wintry scenes. Like, it's all snow on the floor. If you live in the United Kingdom and you've never been to York, I highly recommend it. Although I have been completely and utterly shocked as to how busy it's been. I think probably half the people were tourists, which is fantastic, that so many people are coming to see such an amazing city. I think that maybe people are wanting just to experience an English Christmas, which I don't blame them, because there's so many wonderful places to visit and wonderful places to see. The Christmas decorations were all up, and all the windows, the Christmas trees and all the lights. The carousel was out, which I found, well, I love a carousel. So me and my daughter went on the carousel, and then when we got off, it said that it had been made in King's Lynn, which is not far away from where I live. So that was really nice. And we just generally spent time wandering around the bustling streets. Lots of independent shops, lovely sort of Christmas market that was still there. I tried on a coat, which I really liked, but I didn't buy it. I was tempted though, because shortly before, I had kind of pulled my coat around me because I was feeling quite cold, and there were like all these sort of feathers and dust that went into the air, and I thought, where on earth is that from? And I looked down the bottom of my coat and it's split by the zip. Now I think I can repair it, but it did make me think how old that particular coat is. I have had that coat for quite a while. But the other thing that I've been thinking is, I think every single month I've put on weight-wise a fraction of a pound. So I'm now the heaviest that I have ever been. I think it's largely because I'm no longer doing the school run in the same way as what I was. Last year I was doing fast 20 minutes walk a day, sometimes more, whereas at the moment I kind of meander for about 4 minutes a day. So I have decided that in the new year I'm going to book out in my diary 30 minutes walk. Now what I might do in that time is or 30 minutes bike ride. I might listen to a podcast, and if I relate some of the podcasts I can relate to work, I will specifically listen to ones which are connected to work and use it as like CPD time. That's what my plan is. And I think I'm going to book it in, some of my walks, straight after the school run. So I'll come back from school in the car, and then I'll park the car and go straight out for 30 minutes before I even start work. Obviously, that's also connected to what I'm eating. I'm eating more than what I should be eating compared to the amount of calories that I'm actually using up in a day. I don't feel like I'm eating any more than what I was, say, a year ago, but because I'm no longer doing that exercise, that has definitely impacted me. So I do want to lose some weight in the new year. And I was listening to a YouTuber who's done body slims, the Irish man. I was reading a little bit about that. But part of me, I don't really want to pay for someone to tell me what I need to eat and that I need to do exercise, because I already know what the problem is. But I do think those sorts of groups can be very good in terms of supporting other people and kind of hold you accountable, if you know what I mean. What do you all think? So I've got a whole number of things that I'm thinking about for next year. So I'm going to do some more, I'm going to look into more in terms of Fly Lady. I'm going to have weekly challenges that I'm going to focus on. And I'm also going to update you regularly on how I get on with my walks. I don't always find it helpful to do the steps, 10,000 steps a day, largely because my watch doesn't seem to count properly. If I'm walking along with my husband, bearing in mind that I've got much smaller legs than him, his watch will, for example, say 12,000 steps and mine will say 6,000 or 7,000. But what I thought is if I time myself 30 minutes walking a day or biking, and I can then vary that, can't I? Sometimes I can come home from the school run, get on my bike and bike 15 minutes somewhere and 15 minutes back. And that will be my exercise for the day. And as I get faster, I might be able to bike further or walk further. Can you see on my kitchen side, I've got a lovely big container that my father-in-law did of pickled onions. And they're really lovely pickled onions. They taste lovely with a mature cheese. But the only thing is the size of the jar. Goodness knows where I'm going to keep that. I can't keep it on the kitchen side, can I? I can't. It's too tall for my cupboards with my food. So I just got no idea where I'm going to put that. I don't want to sound ungrateful, but it's like a massive, massive jar. So although I'm going to enjoy eating them, I feel like I want to eat them really, really quickly so I can give the jar back. So like I was saying, we spent a nice time in Sim, which is right up the coast in Durham. And then we've spent some lovely time in York. And I also learnt about St. Margaret Clitheroe, which I know a number of you will find really interesting. She's one of the best known and loved English martyrs, and there was a shrine to her in the Shambles, which is a very well-known street in York. So when you come to visit York, which you would absolutely love, you'll be able to read more about her. But it's very, very interesting. So she was born in York, and she was the daughter of one of the sheriffs of York, and then she married a butcher who had got quite a lot of money, quite rich. But she converted to Catholicism in 1574, and she lived on the Shambles. But during, obviously, there was lots of problems with people converting to Catholicism. And for a while, it was illegal to celebrate Catholic Mass in England. It was considered dangerous. So people had to be hidden. priests had, there was actually like priest holes in like large houses where people were hidden. But she still practiced. She had mass in her house. She kept people hidden. She taught children. She ran a small school to teach the Catholic faith to children. Anyway, eventually she was arrested on the 10th of March 1586, and she was imprisoned in York Castle, and she was charged with harbouring priests and hearing mass. But when they said, "Are you guilty or not?" she refused to give a view or not, and she said because she hadn't done anything wrong. And she was also worried about other people who had supported her. But the penalty for refusing to plead either way was to be crushed to death or placed on the ground under a door and heavy weights put on top of you, which is obviously quite horrendous. But Margaret ended up walking barefoot through all the streets, crowded streets, and as she went, she still was trying to spread the word of Catholic religion. It's very sad, really. Really very sad what happens, because they ended up sentencing her to death, and she said that her last words were "Jesu, Jesu, Jesu, have mercy upon me," and she died on the 25th of March, which was also Good Friday at the time. And when she was killed, she was actually pregnant with her 4th child. But Pope Paul actually canonised her in 1970, and there's a shrine in York. Fascinating story, really fascinating. It's horrendous, really, what happened to people. We're so lucky to be able to have religion freely. Absolutely awful what happened to her, but fascinating that the shrine's still there and you can still go in and they still have mass. So at the moment you can see that clip that I promised you, just a really short clip at the back door, which is piled of various things, including the go-kart. But I did promise you that I'd do a little clip there, and I forgot to add it on. I recorded that when I was spray painting the postbox. So what I wanted to do now, right towards the end of my video, is go through some of your comments. Now, thank you so much for taking the time to add comments to my channel. First comment is from Cynthia Miller, who said, "Merry Christmas, dear friend Emma. As you were talking about your commitment to work, more hours until April, you mentioned that you wouldn't be able to spend as much time in your garden as you would like. Our pastor has always said, if you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else. That has always stuck with me. It's hard to say no to someone, but we must stop and consider the consequences of saying yes." Thank you, Cynthia, for taking the time to write that on my channel, because that's very wise for me, but also for others. And as we go into 2025, I'm going to be thinking that. So sometimes when I feel like I've got to say yes to something, I'm actually saying no to something else. So sometimes I should actually say no, because I'm therefore saying yes to something else. That is very, very wise. Cynthia says, "Today my husband and I did advanced food prep for tomorrow and Christmas Day. We made a broccoli rice cheese casserole, a cherry pineapple congealed salad, a Mexican chicken casserole, and a Czech cereal snack mix. And I also thawed out the ham." Now this really sounds like Cynthia needs to go on to, what's that programme? I'm trying to think of the name of the programme, the cooking programme. I couldn't think of the name of it for a minute. I had to stop and ask my husband. MasterChef. That's what it sounds like. That sounds like Cynthia and her husband should go on MasterChef with these dishes. It's not just one of these dishes. She's done all that. Goodness me. Rebecca Corsa Wallace says, "Thank you. I hope you and your lovely family have a fabulous Christmas. Merry Christmas to you all and to all your lovely followers." Thank you, Rebecca. Judith says, "Merry Christmas, Emma. I hope you and your family have a wonderful day." Louise Tilbrook says, "We had our first bushfire for the season yesterday. It was at least half an hour's walk away. We had 3 helicopters dropping water, and yesterday wasn't very hot at all. At one point they wanted people to evacuate, but thankfully they got the fire contained. So every time you declutter, you are also reducing your risk of fire. That's very true, but also I was very concerned to read this, how this bushfire is quite close to Louise. I find that quite scary. And then Louise followed up, because I commented, Louise replied to me and said it turned out that someone had deliberately lit it. We have a huge public dam that they would get the water from. How scary. Karen Howard said, wishing you and your YouTube family a blessed and peaceful holiday and a healthy and prosperous 2025. Thank you for sharing your journey with us. Thank you very much, Karen. Tracy Four says, hope you and your lovely family have a lovely Christmas. Thank you so much for the birthday mention, because Tracy and Rebecca both had their birthdays, and I'm sure others did as well, so I'm hoping everyone had a happy birthday. Nan Holmes said, in the US, I get citric acid where you can buy canning items. That's interesting. I want to get some citric acid for my toilet, so I need to find out where I can get that from. Barbara Palmore says, Merry Christmas. Your videos are like being with a friends. Oh, thank you, Barbara. That's lovely. I've made lots of friends through this channel. It's really nice. Decluttering Queen says, I'll watch whatever you put up, Emma. Take care. Linda Greenacre said, Merry Christmas to everybody. And Peter Renzi says, Merry Christmas, Emma, to you and your beautiful family. Fiorella from Toronto. I love that name, Fiorella. Such a beautiful name. Sandy said, Merry Christmas, Emma, and family and all followers. And Choco said, thank you for being so kind about my comment. To answer your question, I live in Germany. Trunch is a very small village about 15 miles away from North Walsham and about 2 miles away from Munsley, which you might know. Have a nice time on your days off with your family. I do know North Walsham and I also know Munsley, and I'm going to be going out to Little Walsingham hopefully soon. So I'm going to see about doing a detour and having a little look in Trunch. So please look out for one of my future videos, Choco4912. And you'll have a little look as to what Trunch looks like now. Kitty Cookie says, don't put it down, put it away. And Carolyn says, what do you do on Boxing Day? Which of course I talked about in my last video. And she also says, your daughter's hair is super long. Jealous. Yeah, she's got very, very long hair, and that can get really very knotty. So I'm right near the end of my video now, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've been doing your own housework, I hope you've been able to get lots done. If you've just been relaxing and having a tea or coffee or hot chocolate on the sofa, then I hope you found it interesting. Please do add in the comments what you think about my plans for next year. So I'm thinking more of the same. Keep on clearing out, keep on getting rid of stuff in my house and decluttering. Learn more about the Fly Lady and see whether I can put some of those kind of strategies in place. Weekly challenges and my commitment to my exercise regime. Please let me know in the comments what you think. So thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!